You also made a mention of EVO or EVO, and it took me a solid minute to figure out what EVO stood for. Extra virgin olive oil. I got it now. But yeah, that's good for you. You're trying out the most well-known of the flavorful oil things. And the thing is, the extra virgin oil, it's really good for making like a dressing out of, or a dip or something, or sauteing, which is a lower temperature. But when it comes to frying, and I mentioned this in my reply comment, but when it comes to higher temperatures, frying, extra virgin oil, not a good idea. Like, it's too, I don't, like, the virginness makes it more combustible. So for anything that you want to, pan fry, deep fry, searing your meat, anything like that, you want to get basically anything other than virgin olive oil. So, there's this stuff that I heard about it years ago. They call it extra light olive oil. I was just, scrolling through and happened to land on a cooking show, and this guy mentioned extra light olive oil is good for frying, which, okay, that's something you can try if you can get a hold of it, but it sounds like olive oil is kind of a rarity in your house, so finding this and finding the extra light might not be something you want to try, especially if it's expensive where you are, because from what you've been saying, produce and a lot of things are kind of expensive where you are. So don't go searching for this stuff, because it's probably not gonna be much or any cheaper than the EVO. So if you're gonna go for something high temperature, go for basically anything other than olive oil, which also tend to be a lot cheaper because they're easier to process. So things like soybean oil or corn oil or canola oil, which I've never actually used, but is apparently like the best thing. Like fast food restaurants brag about how they've switched to canola oil rather than whatever the hell they were using before. Probably like corn oil. I think corn oil is like the fattiest out of all of them. So that's something to keep in mind too. I also mentioned some dried rosemary. So yeah, that's always a good thing to have on hand. I like rosemary too, and I've got those. I've got some, basically a limitless supply near at hand that I can just go to and get whenever I want. People might look at me weird for like trimming the bushes or outside the library, but it's rosemary. The plant rosemary. It's just a really hearty perennial plant. So they just put it outside. They've got it outside this library. They've got it outside the library that's in the next town over. It's just useful. But anyway, the thing with using dried herbs is you need to use a lot less of it. So I think the general rule is 1/3 of what you would use fresh. I think that's the rule. So if you would use a tablespoon of it when it's fresh, use a teaspoon of it when it's dried. Just be very, very careful with it, because once it reconstitutes with all the moisture and whatever it is you're cooking, it's going to infuse it with every bit of essence that's in it's been concentrated in the dried leaves. So stay still, computer. So yeah, just be cautious with it. And you've already seen one of my adventures with the rosemary that I picked, and you will be seeing another couple of adventures with it at some point in the future.